All right, back for another non-alcoholic beer review, and the beer I'm reviewing today once again comes from Untitled Art, and they're out of Waunakee, Wisconsin, and this is their lychee sherbet. So they are calling this one a non-alcoholic malt beverage with lychee. It comes in at less than 0.5% alcohol by volume, no IBUs listed, time of review. This can is approximately 7.5 months old. So this is the fourth non-alcoholic beer that I'm reviewing on the channel. The first three was a hazy IPA, a sweet/pastry chocolate milk stout, and then an Oktoberfest lager. And so far, my favorite has been the pastry stout. I think that one came the closest of nailing like what a beer should be as far as the style goes. But I was kind of in the mood for a fruited sour, so I returned to Untitled Art. I reviewed their chocolate milk dark brew, which is the aforementioned pastry stout. It was really good, and yeah, this sounds pretty good. Now, funny thing is, I have for the first time recently tried lychee, and I enjoyed it. To me, I almost get this like strawberry pear kind of feeling, like a juicy strawberry pear with a little bit of like a floral kick, a little bit of acidity. It's a kind of an interesting fruit, and I've never really had it up until recently. I've had it in beers and stuff, but you always got to try the fruit first, I feel, or had the fruit before to kind of get a true representation of the fruit itself. So this one on the website also mentions lactose, but I don't see it anywhere on the can. It also says this is 110 calories, 27 grams of carbs, 0 grams of protein, 0 grams of fat. So anyway, we'll see how this one is. I feel like fruited sours are going to be hard to, I don't know, justify the price point and buying it as far as like a sour goes, because I don't know, it's just basically no alcohol fruited, you know, concoction. Like I could just probably do that myself, but we'll see if they kind of hit the nail on the head as far as what they're going for. So anyway, yeah, that looks kind of like a fruited Berliner Weisse, we'll say. Has a really bright, vivid kind of orange character, very murky, turbid, really can't see through it. Has about just over a finger of this really creamy, I'd say white colored head. It's not even off-white or eggshell, it's just white colored. Yeah, it looks really nice. It looks like a fruited sour of some sort. So let's get a nose. Yeah. So what I'm getting is, if I was doing this blind and I never had lychee before, I would just say this smells like strawberry, honestly, to me, like or like a nondescript red berry. Yeah, a big sweet, over-ripened strawberry. I get a little bit, I'm pretty sure there's lactose in here. This is an older can, 7.5 months old. I know they've kind of like, I don't want to say rebranded their cans for the non-alcoholic, but they've changed some of them. And it did say this contains lactose. So I do get a lactose sweetness. It has like this vanilla kind of sweetness. They also have a regular version of this called just lychee sherbet, and it is like 4.5%. So I wish I was able to grab that and kind of do a true comparison. Yeah, I mean, it's just sweet berry. And again, if I never had a lychee, I'd say strawberry, but knowing what lychee is, it kind of, you know, obviously smells like lychee. Has that lactose vanilla sweetness, maybe a touch of like a, like you smell, I mean, you can't really smell tartness or sweetness, but you can smell what you think it's going to be in the taste. And this has that kind of slight kettle sour kind of nose to it. A little bit of funkiness, a little bit of like generic graininess as well. I will say this though, the one thing that I'm getting from this, I'm getting like big pastry sour vibes. It's that lychee/strawberry is just overwhelming in the nose, mixing in with that like lactose to produce it. It's almost like a lychee creamsicle. Don't know if those will ever exist. Maybe they already do. But that's what I'm getting, and it smells really sweet. I hope the taste isn't as sweet as the nose indicates. Anyway, let's get into it. Cheers, everyone. Hey, that's fucking good. That's good. That's, before I say something I can't take back, let me take one more sip. This is the first beer I've had, non-alcoholic beer, that I can safely say I am not missing the body, which is what the first three I had kind of, the first thing you could notice, it was watery, it was thin. This one doesn't have that issue. This is, honestly, this is like lower side of medium, basically medium body. For a non-alcoholic fruited sour, that's pretty cool. So I love the body on this one. I think the lactose obviously is helping. And the lactose is helping out the mouthfeel too. While it has a spritzy kind of carbonation, really smooth and creamy on the second half of the palate as you swallow it. So body and mouthfeel, fantastic. The taste, it's kind of what you expect from this beer, or at least what I did. It has a pretty big lychee component through and through, all the way through the palate, predominant note. While it's sweet, it's not as cloying as it was in the nose. Like the nose was screaming a lychee dessert, sherbet, right? But not to that level of sweetness in the taste, but the nose was giving me that. So this has, again, lychee, strawberry. I might even be getting a little like citrus kind of feeling to it. Like a little bit of a lemon or an orange. That's at the front of the palate. As it passes through, I get a little bit of that lactose, which turns into a vanilla kind of feeling. So sherbet, it gives you that like creaminess that you kind of expect. On the second half of the palate, there's a semi-dry finish, zero bitterness, but it's a semi-dry finish, which helps keep it in balance to some degree. This definitely leans sweet, but I'm gonna drink the rest of this can and I'm gonna enjoy it because this is actually pretty fucking good. It's a lychee sherbet, non-alcoholic fruited sour. There's a firm tartness on my tongue, a slight acidity on the back of the palate, but they don't really call this. Do they call this a fruited sour? They don't. So maybe they're just trying to get like the slight tartness from the lychee, but I'm pretty sure it's like a fruited sour type of thing. But the sourness or the tartness is just, I won't even say, I said firmly tart, maybe lightly tart. Just a light kind of tartness to it, a little bit of acidity on the back of the palate. Can't taste the alcohol because there's almost none in here. Yeah, this is, to me, as far as stylistically what they're going for, this is the closest as a non-alcoholic beer can probably get, in my opinion. Because this, if I was doing this blind, I don't know if I would say this is non-alcoholic. I don't think I would, just being honest with you. I don't think I'd say this is non-alcoholic. That watery body, there is that kind of in a couple of the other ones. I had like this weird off kind of flavor sweetness. And I think the lactose and the fruit itself is kind of masking that. Yeah, it doesn't have that. So it's a little bit of like a graininess too. But yeah, it doesn't have that weird like, you know, non-alcoholic kind of, I don't want to say off flavor, but just kind of, you kind of know it's non-alcoholic. I don't get that here. I think everything's covering up. This is tasty. So I'm going to eat my words. If I was in the mood for a fruited sour and I wanted something to replicate a fruited, you know, say Berliner Weisse or kettle sour with some lactose, maybe a little bit sweeter, this would hit the nail on the head for me. So lychee sherbet, the non-alcoholic version from Untitled Art. I have no problems giving this beer a, we'll go straight 4.25. I mean, it's pretty fucking good. Not much to complain about. Lychee isn't my favorite fruit. Maybe as I eat more going forward, like I'll love it. I just like it. It's solid. I could do with maybe a little bit less lactose, but I think what happened is the body and the mouthfeel would kind of get bumped out a notch. Maybe I would know it's non-alcoholic at that point. But yeah, I would love to try the regular one and see, you know, how they compare. So if I do see the regular lychee sherbet at some point, I'm going to grab it and review it and just see how it is. Because if this is good for a non-alcoholic beer, I wonder if that's delicious. Maybe not. Maybe this is better than that. Wouldn't that be crazy? Anyway, price and availability. There's where we go a little bit sideways for these non-alcoholic beers. This was $3.50 a can. I'm imagining 6 packs of this probably in like the $18 to $20 range. That's steep, right? But if you want to drink craft beer that actually tastes like it to some degree, I think if you buy a 6-pack of this and drink it over a couple month period and you have one now and then, I don't think that's a horrible price to pay. I wish they were a little bit cheaper, but at least the technology and the science has come a long way from the O'Doul's days, right? And availability, I'd imagine wherever you see Untitled Art, you should see some of their non-alcoholic beers. We get a handful of them. They have a juicy IPA, although it was a little bit older in the can, so I didn't want to, you know, drink like a 6-month-old IPA. So if I find a juicy IPA from them that is actually relatively fresh, I'll give it a go. I don't know what I'm going to grab next. I was thinking maybe like Heineken, non-alcoholic, or maybe Guinness, and then do like a side-by-side between the regular Heineken with the non-alcoholic and maybe Guinness with a regular Guinness. That's probably what I'm going to do at some point. I don't know if I'll do that next time. We'll see. We'll see what we have available locally. There's still not a lot of places that have a ton of non-alcoholic beers, but when I see some, I got to grab them, especially if they sound interesting. So if you've had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this one. Like I said, this is the closest it's gotten for me as far as non-alcoholic beers. Now, I've only had 4, but this is impressive. Anyway, appreciate everybody stopping by for another non-alcoholic beer review here on the Beer Patrol. Till the next one, cheers.